Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Most politically incorrect black man on the planet, Rod Eccles.
Well, hello, my fellow Americans, and to all of my fellow freedom lovers around the globe. It is I, your lovable host, El Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is, live free or die. It is not big government or bust. And, yeah, I checked again today. I check every day. And, it's still live free or die, not big government or bust. It is a Thursday, May the 14th in the year of our Lord 2015. As we are now just but a day away, a day between us and the weekend. Man, this week has just flown by. It's already Thursday. Unbelievable. The number that you can call this evening is toll-free at 603-835-3224. That's 603-835-3224. You know, there's a lot going on in the news today. And a lot of this stuff is really catching some liberals. I guess you could say it's catching them off guard, because it's really showing them to be hypocrites. Now, and I know some of you are probably thinking, well, he must be talking about Obama being called a sexist because he said Elizabeth Warren's first name instead of Elizabeth Warren. He called her Elizabeth. And, Obama is over there feeling like a hurt little child. Well, why are you picking on me? I'm not sexist. This is for absolutely. This is in preparation for. Now, understand this, folks. You have Hillary Clinton out there who isn't answering questions to the press. I don't care who the press. If the press is left leaning or right leaning, and she's not. If somebody asks her a question, a reporter, she's not answering it. Now, I don't know about you, but it's difficult to run a presidential campaign without answering questions. I don't know if she really, do liberals really think that little of us? Are they really that arrogant that they don't think that they have to answer important questions anymore? Well, no, because I don't think they do, at least not yet, because even Obama still answers questions. And he's the anointed potentate, right? If anybody on the Democrat side could ever possibly think that they're above answering questions, it would be Obama. But he still answers questions. He might get mad at some of the questions. He might not like some of the questions. He may pout over some of the questions, but he'll still answer them. But Hillary isn't answering questions. So I'm just wondering, how do you run a campaign when you don't answer questions? We haven't gotten to the point where it's just where politics during an election season is one way. The rest of the year or the rest of the term. For politicians, it does seem to be a one-way conversation, the politician to the people instead of the other way around, the way it's supposed to be. it's supposed to, just so nobody misunderstands me. The conversation is supposed to go this way. The people to their representatives. In other words, the representatives are supposed to be listening to their people. Instead, what we often get during the off season, not politics season, is the politician speaking to their constituents and not really giving a damn what their constituents have to say. But when you are running for office and you're running for election or re-election, it kind of switches. Because, they want to pander for your vote is what they're basically doing. And that's on both the left and the right. I'm not going to let the right off the hook on that. They often pander to the voter as well. And so they'll at least pretend to be listening to you. And they'll attempt to answer your questions. Most of the time they'll obfuscate and they'll just, instead of, you can ask a politician a simple yes or no question, and then they'll drone on for 5 minutes. Well, I don't know. It should be less than 5 seconds. A senator or potential senator, is the sky blue? Yes. Or do you believe the sky is blue? Yes. What, is that a 1 second answer? Yes. But instead, they'll drone on 5 minutes. Is the sky blue? Well, that is really going to depend on the variations of the time of day, and they'll drone on without ever answering your question, because by the time the 5 minutes is over, you still won't get a yes or no out of them. But at least they're pretending to attempt to answer the question. Hillary isn't even doing that. So I'm just wondering, how is it that you're going to run an effective campaign without answering, or at least pretending to answer, any questions? So this is, all of a sudden Obama's being hit with this, this sexism argument. Are you kidding me? Look, I'm sorry. When people unfairly and unduly attack Barack Obama, I will point it out. And I had somebody point this out to me earlier today. They agree with me. Nick, this is BS. Are you kidding me? Just because what is her name? Her name is Elizabeth, right? So the president calls you Elizabeth, or calls you, well, I don't know if he calls a male by his first name, a male senator by his first name. Is that's not sexist, obviously, right? So why is it when you call a woman by her first name? He is the president. But this is the left, and I believe that this is the left trying to put forth another potential candidate, they're trying to puff and build up Elizabeth Warren. Let me tell you something. That would be the greatest mistake that the Democrats could possibly do. And, I probably shouldn't say this because, there's some Democratic operative out there who's listening to this, I'm sure. And he'll probably run back and say, this is what the people are really thinking. I'm telling you right now, the best thing for the Republicans, even if they throw up Jeb Bush, the best thing would be for the Democrats to drop Hillary, or Hillary to drop out, and they give us Elizabeth Warren. She's going to be skewered. She does not have the name cred. And for those of you in Rush Limbaugh's Rio Linda, that cred means credibility. She doesn't have the name recognition. What little recognition she does have is not positive. She's a total wacko nut. She's over there on the far left with Bernie Sanders, as far as I'm concerned. She's a lying nut job. I don't know, is that sexist? I'd say the exact same thing if she were a male. I'd say he's a lying nut job. That's Bernie Sanders. He's a lying nut job. I don't think it's sexist on either part. But you gotta ask. How do you? Why would you put forth this person? Who is this Elizabeth Warren? She's not worthy as far as I'm concerned. But it would be the best thing, because if the Democrats all of a sudden needed to replace a woman with a woman, then let them do Elizabeth Warren. The only saving grace for Warren that the left might be holding on to is that they believe that the right will be a male. The Republican nominee will be male. And they believe that they are going to try to take advantage of the gentlemanly conduct that most conservative males do have. They have a gentlemanly conduct. In other words, they do not pick on women. It's a kind of a chivalrous attitude. And by the way, most women like chivalry. Do not doubt me on that. You young bucks out there, if you want to set yourself apart, head and shoulders above the rest of the crowd, you look to the old-fashioned methods, old-fashioned ways of treating and respecting women. On the Christian side, on the Judeo-Christian side, you will have women flocking to you. They will not want to let you go, because even today's college female, between the ages of 18 to 21, they like feeling like a woman. If you make a girl feel like a woman, you will have them in the palm of your hand. If you respect them, if you treat them like a woman, if you make them feel like a woman, and that means, opening the door for them. Go ahead. Yeah. The girls that complain, I can open my own door, you know what? They're only going to be trouble for you down the line. Let them go. Don't worry about them. Most women like the idea that you hold the door for them. Most women like the idea that you buy them flowers for no particular occasion or reason. Just because, you just come home one day, or you see your girlfriend one day and you just because I love you, honey. She is going to melt. You treat them like a queen and you will be treated like a king. I'm just telling you, chivalry does that. I'm telling you. Treat a woman like a queen and she will treat you like a king. Plain and simple. So this whole notion that they think that the Republicans are going to be too chivalrous to really attack Elizabeth Warren. Oh, this is politics. As Flip Wilson's Geraldine would say, honey, this is politics. The devil comes out. And rightfully so. All's fair in love and war, right? In politics. I think they would be underestimating, because look, they can tear her down without being sexist, even though the left is going to try to portray them being sexist. All they have to do is point out her record and what she says. They don't have to be nasty about it. They just have to make sure that what she says comes back to haunt her. What her policies are and would come back to haunt her. She'd be easier to take out, in my book, than Hillary Clinton, because she doesn't have that name cred already. See, the problem with Hillary is that, she's got her husband, she's been senator, secretary of state, and everybody thinks she's the smartest woman in the world. She's got this 20-year name cred of being so brilliant. Elizabeth Warren does not have that. So I wouldn't see that as a problem. That would be a boon to the Republican side, actually. So let the Democrats go ahead and do that. Now they'll probably hear this and maybe they'll think about it, and then maybe they'll look for somebody else to back. But I think that is what they're trying to do. They're trying to position her and give her enough self-confidence to go ahead and try to be the nominee and run for it if for whatever reason Hillary either is forced out or backs out. Just saying. Now, speaking of the Clintons, Hillary Clinton, the Clinton Foundation, more leftist liberal hypocrisy. Now, this is all over the place. This is actually a pretty big, this is a huge story, actually. And I do not believe that the left really fully understands how big of a story this is. And I hope that everybody out there, from the independents to the conservative, to the Republican, to everybody on the right, makes hay out of this. The very fact that George Stephanopoulos, who is the chief news anchor on a major network, donated more than $50,000 to the Clinton Foundation. And he did this in 2014. This is now 2015. It was discovered that he did so, and now he says he's disclosing it. I apologize for not disclosing it before. No, the problem is that you got caught, George. You didn't think. See, this is the whole arrogance part about the left. They don't think that they could ever get caught with anything. And if they do, they just figure, well, it's no big deal. No big deal at all. And I'm telling you, it's a huge deal. Now, this guy is supposed to be, well, first of all, he's not a journalist. But he's supposed to be acting like a journalist, and a journalist is supposed to be middle of the road, not supposed to take sides. But I said this the day that he was hired by ABC, that how do you hire, a mouthpiece for a president? I don't care if it's on the left or the right. It doesn't matter who the president is. How do you hire a mouthpiece who is so tied to politics as George Stephanopoulos is, and tied to a president, Bill Clinton? How do you hire them, and still try to have some sort of credible credence to your ability to be neutral? News people are supposed to be neutral. I know they're not. And I often say it's not possible because journalists are human, so they're always going to have their personal view put into a story. But these people don't just put their personal view, don't pepper their personal view in a story. It's how they approach the story. You can approach a story just wanting to know the facts and going to report the facts. And as you're writing it down or scripting it, your personality is going to come out, and it's going to lean to whatever direction that you lean in the political wind. So if you're a leftist true leftist journalist, you're going to present the facts, but you're going to present them in a slightly leftist type of manner. Just like if you are on the right, if you're a Republican or a conservative journalist, you're going to present the facts in a slightly right manner. That's just human. Get it, got it, understand, understood. But you're still approaching it from a centralized, give me the facts, I need all the facts, ma'am, please. But in people like George Stephanopoulos' cases, they're approaching the story from the left. All you got to do is listen to the questions that he asked people. I mean, as if sometimes it's like, well, how dare you even ask that question of Mrs. Clinton? Why would you do that? That's not the question. That's not the story. He has been running interference and protection of the Clintons ever since he's been at ABC. If you don't believe me, all you got to do is just go back. Go back when he started. He hasn't changed, if anything, as he's risen in the ranks of over at ABC, as he's gotten his own name cred. He's become more leftist in the tank. He's hidden it less. And now he wants us to believe, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't apologize. It slipped my mind. How does it slip your mind that you give your former boss, remember, he worked for Bill Clinton. How does it slip your mind that you give your former boss, some reports say $75,000. Other reports say $50,000 to $100,000. Some reports say $90,000. More than $50,000. How do you forget that you gave somebody $50,000? I don't care how rich you are, and Stephanopoulos is not that rich. Yeah, he's a wealthy man now because of ABC, but he's not that rich. I mean, how do you forget what you did with $50,000? You don't. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Donald Trump. I don't care if you're Warren Buffett or Bill Gates. $50,000 is not going to slip through your hands where you're going to forget what you did with it. You know, it's not walking around just walking around money. Nobody does that with that kind of money. That's a lot of money for anybody. But now he's out there. He's saying, well, yeah. But here's a story from the Washington Times, and again, it's all over the place. But ABC News chief anchor George Stephanopoulos has donated between $50,000 and $100 or $100,000 to the Clinton Foundation, and at least a portion of that money was donated in 2014. Now, Stephanopoulos finally confirmed the donation to Politico's Dylan Byers after the Free Beacon contacted ABC News for comment. The host then apologized for not disclosing the donation, and he apologized in a statement. He said, I made charitable donations to the foundation in support of the work they were doing on global AIDS prevention and deforestation, causes I care about deeply. I thought that my contributions were a matter of public record. However, really? If you thought they were a matter of public record, then why didn't you just mention it? Mention it in passing. You were so tight-lipped about it. Just mention it in passing. Didn't even do that. He continues, however, in hindsight, I should have taken the extra step of personally disclosing my donations to my employer and to the viewers on air doing recent news stories about the foundation. So, he's doing a story on the foundation. And he figures, I'm not going to tell anybody I donated. So he's running a protection racket for the foundation, Clinton Foundation. And he doesn't feel it necessary to excuse himself from the story or to disclose. Every time the networks do a story and about a company or something, especially if it's Disney or Time Warner or something, they always mention if they're affiliated, this company who's ABC's parent, they disclose that's public record too, and people probably already know, but they always say that. So this idea that Stephanopoulos is saying that, I thought it was public record. No, look, don't doubt me on this. The man was trying to hide it. He was giving them money, and he's trying to do it on the sly. And he just didn't want people to know about it. And now that he's gotten caught, now he's going to try to backtrack and say, well, I apologize. In hindsight, I should have done it. But you know what's going to happen is that it's going to continue to happen in the future, and we're still not going to know if he's donating to somebody unless somebody else comes up and asks him that.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. Call InventHelp today.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-352-1609. That's 1-800-352-1609.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method, and to get your free report, go to 52security.com. That's the number 52security.com. 52security.com. Go to 52security.com.
Hurt or injured in a car accident? It can be hard to take the proper legal action after a car accident, but waiting can cost you more. The law requires car accident victims to assert claims promptly. You could lose out by simply waiting. Call 800-709-4667 right now to see what your claim could be worth when handled by a skilled attorney. With a lawyer fighting and speaking up for you, you could be entitled to a big cash award. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Now it's fast and easy to connect with the legal help you need after your car accident. Call 800-709-4667. The call is free, but you need to act now before time runs out on your claim. You need a lawyer to fight for you, protect you, and get you the compensation you need and deserve. Time's wasting. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Call now.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
You shouldn't have to pay to talk to the people closest to you, or the people who used to be. That's why Umbrella Wireless is proud to announce the new Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Now you'll get unlimited calls to your best buddy, your mom, or Cindy, once she realizes that you're seriously meant for each other and should stop screening your calls. Now the 30 minutes of agonizing silence where you're both afraid to hang up may drain your battery, but it won't drain your wallet. And you'll get unlimited calls just to check if she still cares enough to pick up, with no extra charges. With the Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, your phone will automatically answer calls from your ex, because maybe she finally realizes that you're the only one for her and wants to get coffee sometime. Now, after lonely nights of looking at pictures of the road trip you took together when everything was great, your misspelled texts are absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is the booze. The Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, because she wants you back. She just doesn't know it yet.
Rod Eccles.
603-835-3224. That's 603-835-3224. Look. Welcome back, folks. This is your lovable host, El Rod, sitting here in the Freedom Throne, speaking to you from the Bunker Ice Home Studio via the Freedom mic. Look, this whole notion that Stephanopoulos or any of them, I mean, come on. We know. Here's the problem. And the problem is that most of us in this country understand that these networks and news outlets have a political bent, in that most of the networks and news outlets out there have a liberal bent. Some more liberal than others, granted, but they're still, the vast majority have a liberal bent. Now, when it comes to broadcast media, major broadcast media, the only non-liberal leaning outlet is Fox. And it's amazing how much that the Fox gets dumped on for espousing something that they don't deny. They never have. You know, Fox News says, well, we're fair and balanced. But let's face it. Fox also says, yeah, you know, a lot of our commentators and our news people, they're right-leaning. You know, we're trying to be fair and balanced. Balance meaning we're giving you the other side of the story that you're not getting over on the other 5 major networks. And for those of you in Rush Limbaugh's Real Linda, 5 networks, Rod? I thought there were only 3. No, there's ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, MSMS, and CNN. So this CNN, look, it was started by none other than Ted, what's his name? Wasn't he married to Jane Fonda? You know, Jane Hanoi Fonda? I can't believe I can't remember his name. But anyway, you know who I'm talking about. Because it was also, he also had Headline News. Headline News is still on the air, right? I don't hear much. Because, look, back in the day, you know, when CNN started and Headline News started in the 80s. And it was new because it was different. One, they were 24 hours news, and they really came to light during Desert Shield and Desert Storm. They were able to do things that the other Fox was just getting its, you know, it was still wet behind the ears, but the other 3 major networks were kind of got trumped by CNN, which gave rise to CNN. It was really because of Desert Storm and Desert Shield. And we could see that their name brands, if you will, their big names like Bernard Shaw, they were big lefties. Everybody knew they were leftists. And they didn't really try to hide the fact that they were leftists. They just never admitted it. Well, they didn't really try to hide it. They were leftists. So CNN has always had a liberal bent. But you've always had ABC, CBS, and NBC trying to hide their liberal bent by saying, no, we're journalists. We're fair. No, they haven't been fair in decades. They've been liberal for decades. And we constantly get proof of this, and yet people wonder, well, why does everybody hate all these other news outlets? Why is everybody flocking to Fox? Fox, you know, I get so sick and tired of as soon as somebody slams Fox, I know they're a leftist. And I know they do not watch Fox News. Because all they do is say the same tired, drawn out, most of the time already been disproven sound bites. And I'm done talking with people like that. All I'll say is like, you know what? Since I don't watch Fox, because it comes to me all the time. Well, geez, you should stop watching Fox News. I don't even argue with them anymore. I just say, you know, well, since I do not watch Fox News, and I don't, I'm going to have to defer to you as to what Fox News says and does, because you obviously watch them because you're telling me you know what they say. If you don't watch them, then you don't know what they say, and you need to shut the hell up. And 99 times out of 100, that stops the argument and the conversation. Because they don't watch it. Leftists don't watch it. And you get that 1% that does, and they come back and they say, yeah, I've seen this and this. Great. I don't know what they say because I don't watch it, so I can't argue with you. So then I still stop it because I don't watch it. But I know this. I see the excerpts, of things like Megyn Kelly, and I see the excerpts every once in a while of Bill O'Reilly, and I see the excerpts of Sean Hannity, and on occasion I'll catch Sean Hannity on his radio program. So I kind of know what they're saying, and I know that they're different from I probably watch. Well, at least I used to watch MSNBC more often than Fox because I needed to know what they were saying. And it hurt my brain, folks. Watching MSNBC and CNN, it didn't give me a headache. It literally hurt my brain. I don't know how anybody watches those two especially. But I've watched Diane Sawyer and Brian Williams and Tom Brokaw and, I was younger, even Walter Cronkite. But I got to tell you, and Peter Jennings and the whole host of them. But I got to tell you, watching CNN and MSNBC, and CNN is just so bad. I want to know what's going on over there and what they're saying, but they're so bad I can't even get the signal from my brain to my fingers to coordinate to punch in the channel. My brain won't let me do it. I mean, in my heart, I want to go, well, let's see what CNN is saying. My brain's saying, nope, no. You remember the last time you watched How Much You Hurt Me? And MSNBC is there now, too. It hurts your brain. I'm not going to tell you to stop watching it, but you got to understand what these people are, who these people are, and George Stephanopoulos is right up there with them. This whole notion that he's fair and balanced, because he's a journalist, he's not a journalist. He's not. I'm not a journalist. And I always stop people right then and there. Oh, you claimed that you're a journalist. I never claimed I was a journalist. And that's how I know that these people that always say stuff like that don't listen to me either. Because I have never once ever claimed to be a journalist. I have always claimed to be a commentator. That's it. I'm not a journalist. I'm not going to give you the unbiased opinion of the news. No, I'll give you the facts and logic and with my full bent. I'm not going to pretend to be that I'm fair and balanced because I'm not fair and balanced. I call BS on fair and balanced because I'm a commentator, not a journalist. I'm on the right. I have no qualms of admitting it and saying it. Plain and simple. But these people, they want to try to hide. Every time that we prove that they're leftist or leftist leaning and supporting, and they try to hide behind it. So now, I wonder what George is going to say now. Well, no, I'm still neutral. George, you gave over $50,000 to your former boss, who's a big liberal. How are you going to claim to be fair and balanced? And some people will say, well, Rod, do you mean that journalists can have to stop being human and people? No, but if you are a journalist, then you should not ever put yourself in a position where you give the air of support for an ideal or situation. Plain and simple. It's supposed to be just the facts. That's what a journalist is supposed to do. Give you just the facts. By the way, 44% of there's a poll out there. 44% of those polled think that Hillary Clinton is less ethical than most other politicians. Now, in light of what has gone on recently with Hillary Clinton, I don't know how the number is so low at 44%. I don't, it's even if you even if you are asking 100% Democrats I do not understand how you think, well, I guess it depends on what you consider ethics to be. Is it ethical to lie to people? Yeah, if it's going to get you what you want. Yeah, some people will say, yeah, it's ethical to lie. I mean, Islam, says it's okay to lie to the infidel. It's okay. So I guess it really depends on what you believe is ethical and what you believe is unethical, which is scary in and of itself. To think that our countries, our nation's morals are so fleeting. People can be so flippant about morals that they can justify just about anything and then consider themselves to be ethical. They can lie to your face and still consider that to be ethical because, the ends justifies the means, so they would say. I don't know, maybe my kind of ethics and my kind of morals, maybe they are dying. I don't know. But if they are, as humans, as a race of beings on this planet, we're in big, huge trouble. Huge trouble. Now, just look around you and see everything. Look, you have politicians, especially on the left, that are using the recent Amtrak tragedy. We're now up to 8. And I guess the report I saw today was that all passengers have been accounted for, and other than 8, everybody else is alive and doing okay. So I guess the number is going to stop climbing now. 8 is going to be it. That's sad. People just get on a train and their life ends. And we have some politicians and others, especially on the left, who are trying to use this as a means to get what they want. Now, even Obama is now saying, well, hey, we need to spend more on infrastructure. And this sort of thing wouldn't happen if we spent what I said we should spend on infrastructure. Now, I think that's lower than low. That is showing absolutely no common courtesy to the people and families of this tragedy, for one. It is not a method. It's a lie, for one. And now you're not only being, in my book, you're being unethical by using this tragedy. You're lying while using this tragedy to get what you want. And there are plenty of people who think that is perfectly justified and ethical. So I guess I can, now that as I'm talking to you about it, I fully understand how only 44% think that Hillary Clinton is less ethical than most other politicians. Well, I want to know who they consider to be less ethical than Hillary. Evidently it's not Obama. But is this the highest percentage of any 2016 presidential candidate or potential candidate in this Fox News poll? Now, this is a Fox News poll, by the way. Yes, I just disclosed it. I openly disclosed it. I apologize for not disclosing it before I said it. Yeah, that's. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do a George Stephanopoulos here. I apologize that I did not disclose it before I disclosed it. That this was Fox News poll. 29% said Mrs. Clinton was more ethical than most, and 29, almost a third, think that Mrs. Clinton is more ethical than most politicians? My head is going to explode. Are you kidding me? Nearly 1/3 of those polled in a Fox News poll. And Fox tends to be on target with their polls, but let's understand that Fox is right-leaning. So that number might actually be slightly higher. No, because all polls they have a margin of error, anywhere from 2 to 4%, right? So think that within the margin of error, 1/3 of people in this country then. One can take away this, that 1/3 of the American people believe that Mrs. Clinton, former First Lady, former United States Senator from New York, former Secretary of State under Barack Obama, believe that she is more ethical than most other politicians. I would hate to see what other politicians these people are comparing her to in their own mind. 24% said that she's about the same, ethically speaking, as all the others. Now, 36% thought former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee was more ethical than most other politicians, compared to 18% who said he was less ethical, and 27% said he was about the same. Now, going down the Fox poll goes down a list, but here's a couple of others for the more or less and about the same, respectively. Senator Rand Paul, 33% say he's more ethical, 20% say he's less ethical, and 30% say he's about the same. And Governor Jeb Bush, 26% say he's more ethical, 28% say he's less ethical. Nearly a third of the people think that Bush is on par with Hillary? Oh, I'm sorry. That might be construed as being sexist because I used Hillary's first name of Hillary. Mrs. Clinton. I don't know. That's probably sexist too, calling her Mrs. Clinton. Marco Rubio. 26% say he's more ethical. 19% believe that he's less ethical. And 33% say he's about the same. Ted Cruz. Senator Cruz. 23% say he's more ethical. 25% say he's less ethical. And 30% say he's about the same. Governor Scott Walker, 22% versus 18%. And 29% say he's about the same as the rest. And Governor Chris Christie, 17% say he's more ethical. And 37% believe he's less ethical. And 31% believe that he's about the same. So, to put it in perspective, in other words, you have 29% say that Hillary's more ethical than others, most other politicians. But when you get right down to it, they then go ahead and try to say that Chris Christie, sitting governor, is less ethical than Hillary? Only 17%? Really? Where is our country going? What do people believe what do they believe the definition of ethics and ethical is? I don't know. Are we teaching ethics anymore? I don't think that we are. And there you have it. So I guess if they were to actually start putting this type of asking this type of a poll towards news anchors, many people would probably think that George is, ethical. And that it was not necessarily unethical to not disclose that he donated to the Clinton Family Foundation. Well, after all, he says, hey, look, they're doing the work that I believe in wholeheartedly. I was being ethical in donating because I was donating in something that I believed in and that they were doing and trying to attain. But, hey, my donations are private. Well, yeah, one can say, that stuff is private, sure. But not when you are trying to sway and persuade the national electorate, one direction or another. It would be this. Well, let's face it. Let's think. I don't know if Megyn Kelly. Now, let's be fair here. If Megyn Kelly gave $50,000 to say President George Bush for George Bush Foundation, and then tried to protect Jeb Bush and gave him all kinds of preferential treatment, do you think? And it came out later, and she never disclosed it, and it came out later that she gave $50,000 to President George Bush's foundation. Do you think that the left would just, hey, it's ethical, it's just a slip of the mind? No, they would be jumping all over it, calling for her to be fired. And then after they got her fired, they'd be calling for her to be hung, drawn, and quartered. Oh, she should be in jail. That's how they would react if Megyn Kelly or anybody else on the right, or they perceived to be on the right, would have done exactly what George Stephanopoulos did. They would not consider them to be ethical. They consider George to be ethical, obviously. They would not. Look, we got Brian Williams, a known, proven, admitted liar. And people, more and more people are saying, yeah, George, Brian Williams should come back, be back on the news. He should be sitting back in his anchor chair. I mean, after all, it doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't matter. I mean, this is what we get all the time. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't think Brian Williams should come back. How can you trust him? Oh, well, he admitted that he lied, so. But he was just misremembering the facts. And that he was trying to get his point in his story across. And what was important was the story. So in the case of Stephanopoulos, what's important is a story that George is trying to get out. Forget the fact that he's trying to protect the Clintons, and he's running the first line of defense for them and all that kind of stuff. He's just trying to get the narrative out. That's all. Because it's a narrative that it's a politically correct narrative, so that's fine. And Brian Williams is just trying to get a politically correct narrative out there because everybody feels the same way that Brian felt. And let's face it, he really wishes that all the stuff that he said were true. Like Clinton landing under fire that was a blatant lie, but she wishes that she landed under fire like that. Under sniper fire. She just wanted to portray what it was like to be over there, to get the narrative out about how other people have to go through this and we shouldn't be there and, people shouldn't have to live like that and go under that kind of condition. So what she was trying to do was noble. And that she should have worded it differently. That's all. Brian Williams should have worded those answers and those statements differently. Stephanopoulos should have, mentioned some things differently. But after all, it's all about the narrative. And that's what counts to the left. That's ethics to them.